Hello everyone, welcome to the preview for the game against West Ham, and we are staying at Old Trafford for this one, currently on 39 points in 15th. West Ham are on not on 17th, they're on 37 points in 17th, so they could leapfrog us technically if they was to beat us at Old Trafford, and we would slide down to 16th, 17th, depending on Tottenham's result, as they are playing Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace will probably beat them, so yeah, it's almost like a race for who's the shittest towards the end of the season. If there is any title, that's what it's going to be, a big stinking turd. Just me, myself, on the preview today, but this is our preview, so I want your opinions equally in each kind of quick-fire question. I go through any points I'm making, any points you disagree with, the starting lineup, and other little bits as well. So please do get involved in the comment section, because we do look at the comments and we do interact with them, and we do genuinely care about opinions, and just in general, just getting kind of a general consensus is always really, really good. So, yeah, just me on the preview. And for me personally, I think at what point going into this game, when does pride come into this, right? I get you don't want to risk players. I get there is the Europa League, and you don't want your big stars being injured, but you still have to compete in both. I think it's embarrassing to go in with an attitude where it's like, and I know a lot of people, I might be in the minority with this one. I know there are a lot of people on this channel, people in the media who are like, I don't care if we finish fucking 17th on 40 points shamelessly, and as long as we win the Europa League, that's all they care about. But what if we don't win the Europa League? Something to consider, right? What if we don't win the Europa League and we just finish 17th? Now, obviously, finish 13th, 12th is still bad, but 17th is like, you was one place above the relegation, mate. That's how bad of a season you had. I mean, we've not even gone past the 40-point mark yet, I don't think. I think we're on 39 points, I said, didn't I? So, to even fathom the fact that we could end up winning the Europa League and hitting 40 points is just crazy in general. And the same thing applies for Spurs as well. So, yeah. Obviously, the Europa League, I understand the importance in that. I think it always helps when you finish a game like the way we did last night. Everyone's on a high, especially Mason Mount. Ahmad Højlund gets a goal as well. So the lads are going to be full of beans. They're going to be full of confidence. But then the question comes into this. How much do you rotate for this game, personally? Is there a bit of pride inside you where you want to keep a couple of the premium players on there? I know you can see my starting lineup there, which I'll get into towards the end of the preview. But what are you going for? Are you just fully rotating, youngsters back in, don't care? Or are you actually like, no, let's win this game? Because West Ham are a beatable team, and I'll explain why they're a beatable team in a moment, and you'll probably know yourselves if you've watched them kind of the past 5 to 10 games. They've been horrendous. So, yeah, in terms of individuals I'd like to see who are probably not going to, Matthias de Ligt, I don't think it's going to be fit for this game. I think Amarin said that in his press conference, which is a shame because I do want to see him back, and hopefully he's back fit and fighting and ready for the Europa League final, because I would certainly be starting him in that with his experience. I definitely won't be starting Victor Lindelof after that performance last night. It was absolutely dog shit. So, yeah, hopefully he gets back soon. But also as well, Aiden Heaven is another one. I'm not saying starting the final, but in games like this, these are the type of games I want to see players like Toby Collier, Aiden Heaven, not nailed on first teamers, but they definitely have that potential to push up into there. I really like what I've seen from Collier. I think obviously there are things to improve, whether it's range of passing, dribbling with the ball at times, driving with it, but his output in terms of off the ball, what he does is really, really good. He keeps it simple on the ball, which is nice. Carrick-esque, one might say. So I definitely want to see more of him. And again, Aiden Heaven's the one who you would bring in, who you trust, because he was in the team and he was starting every game before he got injured against Leicester. So they're the type of players I want to see. Not players like Victor Lindelof, who have had a million chances and played hundreds of games for United, and we know what we're getting with them. We know what the deal is with them. And again, his performance last night, he's so bad. He's been, the past 3-4 games, he's just been shocking. And the fact that we're still starting Maguire and Lindelof together in a European semi-final just makes me sick, to be honest with you. So them two together just really don't complement each other well. I mean, I think that experiment was over years ago. So yeah, that's at that end of the pitch. At the other end of the pitch, do we risk giving Mason Mount, Ahmad a start potentially? Mount will be flying. He'll be chomping at the bit to play. I'm sure he'll be pushing Amarin to play. But it's like, are they really that tender and fragile where you literally can't play him for a full game. You don't know the inner works of it, do you? You don't know the gamble and the risk behind it, because based off last night's performance, the way Mount performed, I would start him in the final, genuinely. I would start Mount, Ahmad, Bruno, Casemiro. They're all nailed on starters for me, 100%. And then the rest you can kind of tinker with. Majari, you will probably chuck in there as well. So, yeah, I don't know if he's going to risk him. I'd like to see Ahmad for a little bit more. He's just an impact player. And in these kind of games where it's probably going to be a 1-1 or a 0-0, he's the type of player that can make the difference and turn it into a 2-1 or a 3-1, like we saw against Southampton, for example. So, I'd like to see at least one of them. Whether they do or not, I'm not entirely sure. In terms of other team, and playing against a West Ham under Graham Potter, it appears, again, I'm no tactical wizard, but from the games that I have watched of them, from what I've seen, because that's what I do when I do a preview, I like to watch the past couple of games that they've played. Seems like Potter's adopted a bit of a back 3, back 5 system like Amorim has, to try and be hard to beat. And statistically, under Potter with a back 5, goals conceded has dropped to 0.9 per match against 1.5 with a back 4. Half in their goals conceded from nearly 2 per game to 1.3. But it obviously hasn't brought the points and the wins that West Ham and their fans are craving, right? So, yeah, and that's because they're not scoring enough goals. They themselves keep getting 1-1s, or they're being beat 1-0 or 2-1. They don't score enough, and they're not decisive enough in games either. So we know they've got talented individuals. I'll speak about Paqueta a little bit later on. Jared Bowen has always been kind of their talisman for them, and Mohamed Kudus comes in and out of games. He's a bit inconsistent, but he's another one who people were talking about last season that we should have got him in instead of Antony. So he's one to watch. We also have a fellow player returning in Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he should get a decent reception. I think it's interesting to kind of ponder his career for a little bit at Manchester United, because with Wan-Bissaka, it was always the thing with him. There was always, he's good at defending and he's great 1v1. He's one of the best in the league, but that was the thing that always got that came after it. Under Amorim's system, I think it's kind of fascinating to explore where he could feature in this, because I know he's been playing as a wing back for West Ham. But I don't think he suits that for me personally. It's just not that type of player. I know, and again, look, this is he's got 2 goals and 3 assists, Wan-Bissaka, so he's clearly doing something right. But I just mean the profile of the player. He's not a Frimpong or a Grimaldo or someone like that. It doesn't suit it for me. So the fact that we let him go, I think at the time was right, even though we didn't have that system in place. I think, we obviously had his moments that we all know against PSG, for example, or any time we played against a tricky winger like Raheem Sterling, always locked him down, and you could trust him with that. But at times he would look like Bambi on ice. He weren't great in possession. He didn't really. He got a bit of a nosebleed in the final third with us in particular. So yeah, I'm happy he's doing well, man. He never really moaned about anything. Super quiet player, and just cracks on with it. So fair play to him. West Ham got him for a decent price. I think it was like £15 million or something like that. So yeah, can only say good things about him. I don't have a bad word. When we dive into the statistics, ladies and gentlemen, Manchester United are unbeaten in their last 16 Premier League home games against West Ham, winning 13 and drawing 3, winning each of their last 4 without conceding. West Ham have won 3 of their last 4 Premier League games against United, as many as in their previous 28 beforehand. They're looking to complete their first league double over the Red Devils since 2006 and 2007. United are without a win in their last 6 Premier League games. Only between September and November have they enjoyed a longer winless run in the competition's history. Wow. Now, I didn't even read that stat before. I got that stat off a website. I didn't even read that stat, so that's like a surprise to me. I just pasted it in there. Without a win in the last 6 Premier League games, drew 2 and lost 4. That is absolutely shit. Only Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton have picked up fewer Premier League points than West Ham since Graham Potter's first game in charge. Indeed, the Hammers are winless in the last 8 league games, drew 4, lost 4, last enduring a longer run in the competition in May 2011. So what those stats tell you basically is both teams are shit and they deserve to be where they are. Facts. Just facts, and facts don't care about your feelings. Now, on to West Ham, ladies and gentlemen. Only 2 wins in the last 10. I mentioned it in that stat before, but the only 2 wins they got. One came against Leicester in mid-February, I think it was, or late February. And then they beat a 10-man Arsenal as well, which is a bit of a mad game. But apart from that, they're obviously in really, really bad form. Individuals who's going to be out for it. Alvarez could contend. It could be in contention to start, but he has been injured. And then you got Somerville, who's out, I think, for the season. And Antonio, obviously, who's out, who had that bad car crash as well. So he will not feature in this game. However, they do have a player who we was looking at very closely in the summer. And it seemed like Sir Jim Ratcliffe was pushing to sign, but because of a multi-club ownership rule in Europe and Nice being in the same competition, something along the lines of that, we couldn't end up signing him, and that is Jean-Claude Todibo, who I was a fan of as well. He was someone who was on my list last season when I was making videos. And from the games that I've seen, in fairness, he seems to have been a solid addition for him. You know, showing quite a lot of promise, high-level quality, despite the initial struggles at the start. I don't think he had a pre-season. Late arrival, injuries on top of that as well. There was a stuttered start, and then you've got to kind of climatise to the Premier League on top of that as well. So, yeah, I don't think anyone was writing him off straight away, but he seems to be settling in the team now. And whilst he's not really a consistent starter, he's done well when he's got the chance, particularly, you know, when he's playing out with the ball from the back. Very, very comfortable. He's pretty quick. He's decent 1v1, and he's good defending those wide channels as well. So I still think he would have been a decent signing for us. And Graham Potter certainly seems to trust him, and he seems to be trusting more and more. So it'd be interesting to see if he starts the game. Another player I wanted to focus on as well, there was a situation with Lucas Paqueta in the Spurs game, should I say. Sorry, really tired. Had about 5 hours sleep. Where he was visibly sobbing, and I feel like visibly sobbing because I'm knackered. I think it was due to this whole court case that's ongoing with him. And the whole gambling betting on his team, yellow cards, whatever it was, that whole situation. Now, because the FA kind of operate in a different way, it seems like West Ham and the player are both worried that basically he could be found guilty on the balance of probabilities rather than having actual irrefutable concrete evidence. It's a weird case that's ongoing. It's been dragging on for time. He's another one I don't know if he's going to start, if he's in the right kind of mental head frame. You had his wife, Maria Fournier, if that's how you pronounce it, who put on Instagram that, you know, we've been living this nightmare for 2 years, and he's always strong. He's always had it in his head that he would only defend himself at the right time and place. And you obviously the manager come out as well, backing him. But the manager as well, equally. The manager's had some really frosty press conferences. I don't know if any of you guys and girls, have managed to catch that at all. But yeah, some of his Graham Potter's post-match presses and pre-match presses have been a little bit snappy, which you wouldn't usually associate with a Graham Potter. He's obviously frustrated with the way results are going. He was another manager who came in mid-season and would probably prefer pre-season, much like Ruben Amorim. And, you know, both teams are in similar situations where, you know, they're near the bottom of the league, and it's not where they want to be. They want to be aiming a lot higher, especially Manchester United's case. So emotions are riding high at West Ham at the minute, it seems. Let's see what kind of mind frame they come into this game at Old Trafford with, because I think both teams, it could go either way in this. That's how shit both teams are. If we're talking about ones to watch, I think Souček, Bowen and Kudus are the biggest threats, all in their own different ways as well. Thomas Souček, any set piece they get, any corner they get, he is good in the air. He's really good at heading the ball. Kudus, 1v1, dribbling. You know, sometimes those little slight finesses into the corner, little bits like that, and then Bowen as well. He's just he's their talisman for a reason. He can always produce something against any team. So they're ones to watch for West Ham. For us, it all depends who starts, right? I think Harry Maguire, if he does start, is going to be really important with his height and strength, and typically starts against teams like West Ham and Everton, who have big physical players. I think you see that a lot. McTominay and Matic used to start a lot of those games as well, so I think he'll be brought in for that. He's one to watch for me, and then it depends, maybe Mount, Ahmad, whichever one of them starts. Now the quick-fire questions, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to answer any of these. This is just specifically for the viewers, okay? Will this game be a draw? Will Mount or Ahmad start? Name a five-a-side team from both teams. So you could have, I don't know, Onana, Todibo, Souček, Bruno, and then, you know, something like that. Name your five-a-side team. Will Graham Potter succeed at West Ham, in your opinion? And who will be man of the match for tomorrow? Right, let's get into this team. I'll break it down why I've gone with each individual player. I think Onana stays in net. I don't really see a need to rest him. The final isn't till the 21st of May, so it doesn't make sense. And Bayern Day looked really nervy when he came on. And when he rotated, sorry. I think Lindelof will start at the back because he's the ulterior option. I would give Yoro a rest personally in this game. It's not ideal, but I think, I don't know. I just saw Yoro's been performing really well at the minute, and I wouldn't want to rush him into this game, but I'm not mad at it if it does start. So I think Lindelof in there, Maguire for the reasons I've already stated. Luke Shaw, experience, physical, another player as well. I think he'll start. Dorgu at right wing back because Amorim keeps referring to Majari as basically being dead on his feet, and he's knackered, and he's played a load more games than what he's used to. So maybe they'll rest him again. Mainu hasn't started a game properly for ages from what I can remember. Maybe there's one that skipped my imagination, but I think he deserves the 90 minutes. Ugarte got subbed off in the 60th in the Europa League game, so I think he's fine to play. Amas is another one who will probably come in, although he didn't have a cover himself in glory in the last game. And then the front three, just because limited options, I think Garnacho and Højlund probably start. Chido struggled, as well as Amas in the last game. So I don't think he'll be rewarded with another start. I think Højlund is good to go. So I think Bruno, Garnacho and Højlund will be your front three, which I'm not a massive fan of. I don't think they work together in particular. But hey-ho, who am I? I don't have my A licenses and I'm not Ruben Amorim. So, in regards to a score prediction, I'm sorry to be that guy. It is going to be IKEA. It's going to be a draw. It's just... These games always end in either a 1-1 draw or a 1-0, and they're usually boring as well. So I can't remember the last game between United and West Ham where it was thrilling and exciting. And given the nature and the narrative of where both clubs are at, I see it going the same way. So probably 1-1. We'll probably score. West Ham score later on, and that's the game. Done and dusted. Let me know your score predictions in the comments section. Subscribe to the channel. We are on 14,638 subs. Getting very, very close to 15k now. So if you can do that, we'd really appreciate it. And check us out on socials for all the latest news surrounding United, whether it's transfers, post-match, comments from Ruben Amorim. There's loads of stuff on there. Check us out. Really, really good page on all socials, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And I will see you guys in the next one, yeah? Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. See you in a bit.